Debt bondage. In this video we'll explore the term debt bondage in a county lines context. We will examine how debts are created and used to control and exploit children in acts of criminality. Debt bondage is also often used in international trafficking and sexual exploitation. Let's first remind ourselves of what criminal exploitation is. Exploitation. Drug gangs exploit vulnerable adults and children, perhaps going through family breakdowns, with learning difficulties, living in care homes or trapped in poverty. They are often drawn in through social media and peers, exploiting their youth and insecurity. Criminals often look to groom and recruit children who are not known to the police or partner agencies, often referred to as clean skins. They are groomed with promises of money, friendship and status. Once drawn in, they are controlled with threats of violence and sexual abuse. They become traumatised and live in fear, paying for their keep through gifts from gangs, making them indebted and ultimately forced into debt bondage. Before you know it, they become modern slaves. What is debt bondage? Debt bondage is a form of entrapment. It leads to victims feeling as though they are caught in a situation from which they cannot escape. Debt bondage occurs when an individual owes money to their exploiters and is made to repay their debt either financially or through other means. Debt bondage is one of the many methods used by criminal groups to control, intimidate and coerce those they are exploiting, and is a common feature of county lines. Exploiters may present themselves as the ones protecting the child or adult from frightening people or situations. The relationship the exploiters form with the child or adult is called grooming. The child or adult may not realise that the debt is created and used by exploiters to threaten and harm, extort finances, ensure the child and adult's ongoing commitment to the group, or push the children into other criminal activities such as acts of violence. Many criminals use debt bondage, but the way the debts are incurred, used and enforced can vary greatly. How is debt created? Those exploiting children and adults groom them to carry out various roles. They may store, supply or prepare drugs or hold money or weapons. The responsibilities placed on the child or adult are extremely unrealistic and often very dangerous. The exploiters will often create conditions they cannot maintain or meet. An example of this is the expectation to answer the mobile deal phone 24/7, with extreme consequences and threats if they don't comply with the instruction. If drugs, money or other items are lost, victims face harsh consequences, often imposed by those controlling the drug line. Examples of how debt can occur. Exploiters may groom children and adults by providing them with items which they claim are free. In reality, these aren't free, and exploiters will hold them accountable for the cost of the items. Children have been provided with drugs, alcohol, clothing, gaming credits, protection or money, and even food. Exploiters may use entrapment techniques which will often involve seeing the child or adult being set up and items, usually drugs, stolen. The child or adult are now responsible for repaying the money or drugs that they have perceived to have lost. Effectively, they are working for free. Children and adults may be forced to carry drugs inside their bodies as part of the exploitation and trafficking. These packages may rupture, causing serious injury, or the victim loses them when deposited from their body, and they are responsible for the loss. Carrying drugs inside their bodies is extremely dangerous and can lead to serious harm. Exploiters may deliberately give drug users more drugs than they are trying to buy. The drug user can become more dependent. Exploiters may allow drug users to buy drugs on credit, hugely inflating the prices of the drugs to incur a debt. Drug debts can also be created in other ways. For example, the seizure of drugs and or money by police upon arrest or house search can result in the exploiters holding the victim responsible for items that are seized. The seizure could potentially increase the risk to that person, and therefore it's vitally important to tell the police if a drugs debt has occurred. Family members, carers or others may find drugs or other valuable items that a victim is holding on behalf of an exploiter and dispose of them. Parents may throw or flush items away, wanting to protect their child. This can result in the exploiters holding the individual accountable for the value of the items lost. The risk to that person may have been significantly increased as they are further indebted to the gang. Again, it's important to inform the police that a drugs debt has occurred. Children and adults may be encouraged to hold or store money in their own bank accounts on behalf of an exploiter. If bank accounts are closed or the money is lost, the victim may be expected to repay this either financially or through other means, including distributing drugs on behalf of the criminal group or by any other activity that benefits the exploiter. Rival groups or drug users may steal drugs, money and other items they are holding on behalf of the exploiters. They can be held responsible for this loss. These altercations are often violent and sometimes involve being kidnapped, falsely imprisoned and tortured for information. How debts can be transferred. Family members including parents, younger siblings, friends and other contacts may be forced to assume a debt incurred by the individual being exploited. Examples of this include when the victim who originally incurred the debt is relocated to another area, when a victim with a debt receives a criminal sentence and is remanded in custody, or when a parent or family member requests the transfer of the debt from the victim to them in a desperate attempt to protect them. How debts are worked off by the victim. Victims may be forced to comply with the criminal group demands, carrying out tasks working as free labour to repay the debt. Victims may be subjected to sexual abuse, violence and harassment. Victims may also be forced to carry out acts of serious violence, such as knife and gun crime. Exploiters will often control the victim by using surveillance, including digital methods, also threats and violence to prevent the victim from seeking help. Exploiters can exercise extreme levels of violence on the victim as punishment and/or demonstration of the consequences to others within the criminal group. Friends and family may also be threatened or subject to violence as a control mechanism. Many victims carry knives or other weapons to feel safe, particularly if they are worried that drugs or money may be stolen from them. How to spot the signs of debt bondage. Identifying at the earliest opportunity that a child or adult at risk is being exploited and subjected to debt bondage is vital to ensuring an appropriate multi-agency safeguarding response is implemented. Victims can be from any community, background, age and demographic, and many may not recognise they are being exploited. Adults who work with and encounter victims should look for signs that something isn't right and report any concerns to local authorities and/or the police as appropriate, while parents and carers are usually the first to identify signs and notice that something's wrong. It's crucial that you log your concerns and seek support from safeguarding professionals to create a safeguarding plan as soon as possible. Every child's situation may be different. This may include stealing money or items of value such as devices, jewellery or consoles from friends or family members as a way of paying back their debt. Exploiters may physically turn up at your home, workplace, your child's school or other areas seeking to reclaim a debt, or threaten if payment is not made. Threats can extend into the digital space such as on social media. They may communicate a particularly strong drive to earn money and appear anxious if encountering barriers to this. They may disclose that they owe money, but will not provide information about who they owe it to or why. You may notice a change in your child's engagement with education. You may see a change in their behaviour, such as becoming increasingly angry, aggressive, withdrawn, uncommunicative, or secretive, as well as being unable to sleep. You may see signs of physical harm, which they may try to hide from you or refuse medical treatment. They may start to carry weapons for their own personal protection. You may find evidence of weapons stored or hidden in your home or in areas around your house, such as gardens, sheds and drains. You may find condoms, lubricants and items such as children's chocolate gift eggs. This may indicate that they are using these items to conceal drugs inside their bodies. How can you help? Children and adults at risk are unlikely to disclose debt bondage and other forms of exploitation that they're being subjected to. There are multiple reasons for this. However, the main reason is fear of their exploiters. Other reasons are a sense of loyalty to those exploiting them, a mistrust of those in authority, fear of being arrested and not being believed, especially if they have been coerced into committing crimes which offenders use as a tool to control and silence them. This can be a really difficult time for parents and carers. You may experience feelings of fear, shame, guilt and powerlessness. Parents and carers shouldn't feel shame, guilt or blame. Tips for affected parents and carers. Try and keep talking to your child in a non-judgmental manner. Acknowledge that some of your normal parenting tools may not be successful. Remember, the behaviours you are seeing are due to the harm they are experiencing outside the home. They are traumatised, confused and frightened. Your child really needs a safe person, you, in this situation. You can help protect your child as well as other young people who are being exploited or at risk of exploitation. The information you have may be vital to identifying the offenders. Parents are in a unique position to access information. By gathering as much detail about the offenders, parents can provide the police and safeguarding professionals with evidence to support and protect their child. Here are some of the things you can do to support the disruption of exploitation and debt bondage. Keep a record of any incidents, details of missing episodes, calls, etc. Look for life litter such as train tickets, bus tickets and receipts. This will give you an idea about the whereabouts of the child whilst they are out of the family home. Look in and around your home for any drugs, money, cash cards in others' names, weapons or keys to properties that your child may be holding on behalf of the offenders. Listen for key pieces of information while your child is on the phone, such as names and locations. Look out for any regular patterns of behaviour. Explore tracking software that can be linked to yours and your child's phone. Alternatively, you could purchase GPS devices to go on keys or clothing, etc. Consider using tracking facilities via social media apps. Look at notifications on the child's phone to identify contacts, calls, texts, and social media apps. Paying off a debt. As a parent, you may feel paying off the debt is the safest thing to do to protect your child, and we recognise your fear that refusal may increase intimidation, violence, and threat from the exploiters. However, paying off the debt is not recommended by police or other agencies. Criminal groups may not write off the debt even if it's paid, as it's not in their interest to do so. Often, risk can increase as the group have seen that you are willing to pay. Consider other forms of exploitation that your child is being subjected to. Does paying off the debt realistically stop the exploitation, control and manipulation that your child and family are experiencing? If a decision is made to pay off the debt, against advice, seek advice from professionals on how to support you and your family. How to report your concerns. What should I do? If a child or individual is in immediate danger, dial 999 and ask for the police. Information and concerns where your child or other individual is not in immediate danger should be reported to the police directly via 101 or through an online reporting form. If you would rather remain anonymous, you can contact the independent charity Crime Stoppers online via crimestoppers-uk.org or call 0800 555 111. If you suspect that your child or other individual may be a victim of debt bondage, you should report your concerns to your local children's or adult safeguarding team. For children, you can find your local council's Children's Social Care Department via .gov.uk/report-child-abuse. For adults at risk, you can contact your local council via .gov.uk/report-abuse-of-older-person. You can contact the NCLCC helpline or call 0808 800 5000, which is staffed by trained professionals who can provide expert advice and support if you're concerned about a child. You can contact paceuk.info or call 011 324 03040. PACE supports affected parents and carers of children at risk of exploitation.